Enforcer.
I believe they're called enforcers, Gordon. I sell women's shoes.
And the Stallion.
Stallion, baby! I am not what you would call a handsome man.
I'll kick you in the nuts and you'll smile at me and like it.
Oh, nice!
Welcome back to another edition of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We are your hosts. He is the Stallion. I am the Enforcer, and I'm currently reading the February 1993 WCW magazine.
February 1993.
Yes.
Who is on the cover of the February 1993 WCW magazine?
There are 2, 4, 6, 7 people on the cover.
Oh, God.
And it's an exclusive preview. Well, color me confused because it's the February 93 edition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an exclusive preview of Starrcade 1992 Battle Bowl. How is that possible?
I'm confused as well. That seems like...
And then on the inside, it says March issue on sale January 19th, 1993.
So maybe they have, I don't know.
3 months in advance?
I guess. I feel like they're breaking the space-time continuum with all this stuff.
Yeah, I think they hit the flux capacitor. All right, so there's 7 guys on the cover. And this is from right before Battle Bowl 92, so right before, probably December 92.
Okay.
7 guys on the cover. If you get 4 of them, the next time we go out, you have 10 guesses. If you get 4 of these guys, the next time we go out, your entire dinner's on me.
Okay. Sting.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy.
Vader.
Nope.
No Vader on this?
No,
oh, wow.
No Vader.
Geez, Battle Bowl? What the heck is going on this? Lex Luger.
Nope.
What kind of magazine is this, bro?
It's the WCW magazine, bro. Official.
That's unfortunate. Okay, let's see. Sting. You said no Vader, no Lex Luger.
Yeah, you get 10 guesses. You got 7 left. You got to get the rest of these. You got to get 4 of these. So you got 3 more out of the 7.
Jeepers. Man, oh man. How about Rick Rude?
Okay. Another one. You got 2. You keep track of how many you get. I'm going to keep track of your guesses. So you're at 2.
All right, so I got 2. I got Rude and Sting. You said no Vader. How about Dustin Rhodes?
Son of a monkey's uncle. 5. One more guy. I should have said 5.
Starting to run out of ideas. How about Cactus Jack?
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
Nailed it?
Nailed it. Now I'm pissed. A, because I'm broke, and B, now I got to pay for your dinner. You want to try to guess the next 3?
From, December 1992. Stunning Steve Austin?
Nope.
Brian Pillman?
Nope.
Man, that's I'm starting to think of 1992 WCW is tough because Flair wasn't there.
Think of monumental title wins.
El Gigante.
No, dude. The rest of them were Ricky Steamboat.
Okay.
The Barbarian. I don't know why.
No.
And the other one is the first ever black NWA/WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Ron Simmons.
Yes, sir. One and the same.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna have the roast duck with the mango salsa whenever we have this dinner that you are paying for.
What is that from?
I believe it's from a Geico commercial with the cavemen, if I'm not mistaken.
Tremendous. Oh, there's a picture of Missy Hyatt in here. Just looking at this actually gave me chlamydia.
Are you sure that's still WCW magazine and you don't have a penthouse?
Wrestling Vixen. I don't have
Tape.
a Wrestling Vixens magazine. No, I don't have
Okay.
Wrestling Vixens magazine. Oh, here we go. Missy's View. I'm going to read you Missy's View. Oh, you know, if I remember these, hold on. There actually used to be. Oh, this is great. This is a who am I question. They give you 5 clues. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. This is the best. I think this is our best podcast yet. I got to be honest with you. You get all right, how many clues do you need to make the correct guess? Test your friends. The answer's on page 16. Number 1, I'm a second-generation wrestler. 2, in fact, my father trained me for 2 years before I turned pro in 1988. Any idea?
I mean, I have guesses, but
I'm gonna guess who it is off the top of my head and see if I'm right. Okay. My first WCW pay-per-view card was Wrestle War 91. And my father came out of retirement on January 4th, 1992 to team with me in Japan against Kim Duck and Masa Saito, a match we won with pride. Who am I?
Well, my first guess would be Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. Nailed it. Was Dustin Rhodes.
I say yeah.
That was a pretty easy one.
All right. Way to belittle my...
No. I said Dustin Rhodes in the cover. Here's another thing I want to talk to you about, which is kind of interesting to me. So you want to be a WCW wrestler. That was the theme of a contest in the UK organized by Wannabe Promotions and aired over Radio 1. 4 questions were asked of listeners, with the winner chosen at random to receive a trip for 2 to the US to attend Halloween Havoc. The winner was 12-year-old Adam Cunningham of Buxton, Derbyshire, and his gimmick's name was Adam Bomb. I wonder if the WWF pilfered the Adam Bomb gimmick from Adam Cunningham of Buxton, Derbyshire. That's tremendous.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe he should be getting royalties to this day.
Adam Bomb's size may not seem threatening, but his strategy and maneuvers in the ring are catastrophic. Bro, they totally jack this kid's gimmick. Son of a... This poor kid. I wonder if he's on Facebook.
You should tweet a picture of that out and see if you could find Adam Cunningham and let him know.
Dude, I totally... Cactus Jack was teaming with Tony Atlas in WCW in 1992? Michael P.S. Hayes was doing an incredibly racist Tomahawk Indian thing. Oh, sweet, dude. There's a word search.
It was a weird time, 1992.
1992 was an awesome time. Tony,
do you
remember Tony Atlas ever being in WCW?
No, but I don't know that I was that closely watching or following it back then. I mean, I think I would occasionally watch WCW Saturday night on the weekends whenever I could, but I was at that stage of life. I was more into the Superstars and Challenge from the WWF side, so I only watch stuff these days historically from the network and all that.
Dude, it's sad because I used to watch WCW in '92 all the time, and I have no recollection. But listen, why don't we get up to modern times here and talk? I kind of want to keep talking about 1992, but you know what? No, let's talk about modern times. What's going on? This week's episode, that was quite the, what is it, the prologue or the epilogue? It's the epilogue, right?
I thought it was prologue. Prologue comes first, prologue? Right?
Yeah. So that was quite the prologue. Here's what we're going to talk about. This week we're talking about NXT. We can talk about Raw and SmackDown if you'd like. I don't really want to. We can talk about NXT. I want to talk about something you just brought up to me. You were actually breaking news. You were, breaking news. I'm just kidding. I can't play the bit and be on the phone, and I know how much you love that bit. So, apparently, it seems like Paige has been informed that she's wrestled her last match due to a neck injury. I want to talk about that, and then I also want to talk about. I haven't read them, so I like hearing this. This is on the we're shooting here, Cowboy. You have Diamond Dave Meltzer's star ratings for Wrestle Kingdom, which I cannot wait to hear. So where do you want to start?
Well, I guess let's start with the Paige thing, since that's the latest news that at least has come out in the last couple of hours. So we're taping this on Friday, January 12th at about 8 o'clock at night Eastern time. And in the last few hours, since we've all gotten out of work and the news came down, or at least it's been rumored that Paige is no longer cleared to wrestle. So her in-ring career, at least with WWE, may be over. She suffered an injury at a house show in the last week of December, a house show in the Nassau Coliseum out here on Long Island, which I was actually in attendance for. She took a kick to the back, like towards like the middle to upper back from Sasha Banks, and after which she was down in the ring and was having some trouble getting up and was shaking her arms out. And they stopped the match in the middle. So before there was a winner, and the referee rang the bell, threw the X sign up, and they walked. Paige was able to walk to the back, but the only thing I had heard after that was that she was diagnosed with like a neck stinger, and she had not wrestled since then. So it's only been maybe like 2 or 3 weeks. But today, the word is, I think it was PW Insider maybe that reported it, but I don't want to misquote the site, that was saying that because of whatever her injuries are, I know she was suffering from a neck injury. She came back, she wrestled for a little bit, but now they're saying she's having, I don't know if it's a similar injury to Edge, I guess, when he had to retire. And WWE is apparently not allowing her to compete in ring. So we're not sure if she's going to be staying with the company in another capacity, or if this is one of those situations where, when her contract runs out and she feels like she can still wrestle, that she'll leave and go wrestle elsewhere. I don't really know, but that's just the latest that's come down the last few hours this afternoon on Paige.
It's been a brutal 2 years for that girl. I mean, I feel for her. It's been her, her first injury right when she was. I mean, Paige is probably the hottest thing going in the women's division right when she got injured. Then, of course, when she got injured, all the leaked videotapes and all that kind of junk came out. And then she finally comes back. She has a stable, which escapes my brain at this point. What's the name for a stable? Absolutely. Ruby Riott. And it was Paige and Sonya Deville and what's her name over there?
Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose, not Alexa Bliss, right? And, she was poised to be in the Royal Rumble, and probably, obviously, she was going to be the future of the division for a long time, being so young with such a background and such a history in WWE. And it's tough. I hope it's one of those things where WWE is being overly cautious, and that's not the case. But who knows? I mean, I don't know why. I guess you kind of have to. It's tough because, like, if you look at Sheamus, right? Sheamus, much like I do, actually, Sheamus suffers from cervical spinal stenosis, which is pretty much the straightening and the narrowing of the cervical spine, which is not, speaking as somebody that deals with it through my C4, 5, and 6 vertebrae, it sucks. I don't know how. Like, sometimes I feel like I sneeze and I'm going to throw out my back and my neck for a month. So I don't know how Sheamus is taking bumps like that, but there has to be a reason why an injury like his is okay and hers isn't. I don't have all the details on it, but I mean, so you look at Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan was forced to retire due to all these concussions, and he's saying he got cleared from every doctor except for the WWE doctor. So what's the real reasoning behind it? What are the WWE's doctors seeing that, regular doctors aren't? I don't have the answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. I don't know that anybody really, I mean, other than them, I don't know if there's a legit medical reason for it, or if maybe their standards are different than a regular doctor, in the sense that they don't want to allow Daniel Bryan, like, let's say Daniel Bryan wrestles a match and he gets a concussion and his brain situation becomes worse than it already is. I mean, I don't remember all the details, but I do remember him saying that he was having seizures at one point, and while he was kind of hiding the concussion symptoms and the seizures from the company, and he had some situations where I think he was in the ring and he took a bump and he couldn't move for like a little while and things like that. So the only guess I could make is that they're just being a little overcautious with him, in the sense that, like, if he wrestled a match and he got hurt again, got another concussion, he could really, really, get really injure himself even worse. And they don't want to be on the hook for any of that. So they're just kind of saying, listen, the easiest play for them is to not allow him to work in ring And the question will become what happens when his contract runs out, which I believe is sometime this year. Do they let him go and work? He can go work, wrestle matches on the independent scene or in New Japan or another, other companies, or do they try to sign him so that for his own good he can kind of stay and do some other things? But I don't know. That's my only guess.
I wonder how different it is than an injury kind of like Shibata's, where Shibata had bleeding on the brain and brain symptoms. And no two injuries are the same or alike, and I understand that. But if I don't know, it seems very, very weird to me that he can be cleared by so many other professionals, and the WWE won't clear him. I don't know. I guess we'll kind of see. We'll keep up, with the situation as it turns out. But I don't. If every other doctor on the planet is telling Daniel Bryan he can wrestle, and Ring of Honor doctors are telling him, and New Japan doctors and people like that, then I think he's a grown ass man. Like if he wants to make that decision, then if it's worth it for him to risk it, and they weigh the odds and X, Y, and Z, then I think he should be allowed to do what he has to do. I just read this week that he turned down a very lucrative contract extension. So to me, it seems like Daniel Bryan honestly believes he is healthy enough to compete in the ring.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he really can't be forced, right, to sign any contract. So I'm operating under the idea that when his contract runs out with WWE, that he's going to leave and he's going to go do, whatever he feels he wants to do in terms of wrestling elsewhere. So and just from the sounds of interviews that he's done over the last, a year or two, I would guess that he's going to go wrestle in New Japan, in Mexico. He might wrestle in Ring of Honor or PWG or places like that. I could see him doing those types of things. I mean, he's still only in his 30s, so he still, has years left in him to wrestle, and I would think he'll do that for as long as he feels like it, unless something unfortunate happens where he sustains further injuries and other doctors then no longer clear him. But that, if I was making a prediction, I would guess that's what he's going to do once his contract is up.
Yeah, I mean, and he can alter the way that he wrestles. He's never been a big risk taker, so I guess I kind of wonder where these concussions came in, and how hard it is to, kind of. But I think if the juice is worth the squeeze for him to do it, then for all intents and purposes, he should do whatever he feels right. And I can tell you, there will be people throwing boatloads of money at him to continue over there. And I think, who knows with Paige, but the same could be said for her. We have to kind of wait and see what the exact injury is. It looked like when Sasha Banks kicked her, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, you were there. It almost like she had like a whiplash effect. That's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, it looked like she wasn't expecting the kick. So I don't know if she wasn't expecting the kick or if maybe Sasha just kicked her a little too hard. That I'm not sure. But yeah, when she got kicked in the back, the way she took it was almost like she wasn't expecting it. And she did kind of have a little bit of whiplash situation, or like her body kind of bent in such a way where it was either too forceful or she wasn't expecting it. So that's how it looked to me. And then she just couldn't. I watched a video of it after the fact because the angle I was at, I couldn't see everything, and it looked like she just her arms were a little bit limp. She must have just had like lost feeling in them for a period of time, and the referee called it off right away, which is the right thing to do. So it's unfortunate. I mean, she's only 25 years old. She's been with WWE, I think, since she was 18, and wrestling since I think she was 13. I heard, because she's from her mother's a wrestler and she's from that family. And it would hopefully, like you said earlier, that maybe it's just a situation that WWE is just being overcautious and she might be able to wrestle again at some point. But if it is the end of her in-ring career, it kind of stinks for a lot of reasons, but especially since she's so young. And she's been pretty. I think she's been a pretty decent in-ring worker and a character for them since she's been in NXT in the main roster.
Yeah, I think taking bumps at the age of 13 before your body is fully developed is bound to take its toll on you too. So who knows what the cause of all this was, but we wish Paige the best, and hopefully this isn't the end of her career.
Yeah, definitely. So, what would you like to go next? You want to do an NXT recap, and then we'll close it out? with the Meltzer ratings?
I have oodles of opinions on NXT, so I want to start. I want to go there now.
Okay.
Now, we both got a chance to watch NXT. I know you said you were a little bit in and out. You didn't have the sound on. So there's a couple things I want to talk about in regards to the commentary and not so much the commentary, but I guess the presentation of it. Did you catch Mauro Ranallo addressing or calling wherever they were the WCW arena?
Oh, did he? I know that this is where they taped. So it was in Atlanta, right? It was in the same place where they taped, I guess, WCW Saturday Night and or Worldwide or whatever it was.
Yep, and he let us know that, which is, I know it's very obvious. Triple H is a huge fan of the old NWA and of WCW, but I think that was strike one for me. What did you think of Shayna Baszler?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm not a fan of hers in general, so I have that preconceived, notion before things start with her. But the way that they did her debut and the angle with kind of stomping on Dakota Kai's arm,
it was nasty. It was a nasty, nasty spot too.
Yes. So I think if I'm just looking at it, I get, yes, unbiased in an unbiased way. I thought that she was presented and booked well. As for I'm going to gather that they're making her out to be, like a kill, whatever, like a killer in terms of she's got the UFC background, she's got the reputation, she's got the chokehold, like she's a legit badass type women's character. And in that regard, I would say that they probably achieved that in her first appearance on NXT.
Well, did you hear her music?
No, I don't recall her music. Did something stand out to you?
I'm gonna curse. It starts with the fucking horse trot, and the horses, the same way the Four Horsemen's music used to start. Come on! And then she walks out with a towel around her like she's Taz. Dude, I don't have an issue with them booking her that way because they did book her like a badass, and that was fine for me. But come on with the horse trot. There's one group of guys, 4 of them to be exact, who should have theme music that starts with a horse trot. And that's the 4 Horsemen. Not the 4 Horsewomen, not some jabroni who couldn't hack it in the UFC, who couldn't hack it on the Ultimate Fighter reality show, and then had to go get her friend Ronda Rousey to fight her battles, and then talk shit to the girl that Ronda Rousey beat because that girl beat her. That's not the person that should be representing the 4 Horsewomen. You want to be a quote-unquote legit shooter? It's a lot easier to do when people don't see you getting your ass kicked on a weekly reality show and crying about it. And not to mention acting like a douche bully before it. Anybody go back to see, I don't know what season it was. It was when Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey were coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Everybody thought Shayna Baszler was the favorite to win because she was been the longest. And she was, with all due respect, she's a pioneer of women's MMA, and that's fine. That doesn't mean you act like a total asshole, which she was. And before she fought, I think it was Juliana Pena. She took the Ace of Spades card in Juliana Pena's, I think it was in her top at the weigh-ins. And then she proceeded to get her ass kicked. And then she got her ass kicked 3 more times in the UFC before they cut her contract. So I think I have more of an issue with Shayna Baszler, the human being, and the way she portrays herself as, cause on the show, she's not she was just a straight up bully, picking on the new girls and stuff like that. And now they're using that mentality, in her WWE persona. And I think it was Mauro Ranallo who actually said the word bully, which is interesting because I know they're all about the anti-bullying campaign. So I didn't think I'd ever hear them. Oh no, man, I think it was Nigel. Nigel referred to her as a bully, which I thought was kind of teetering the line.
Well, you know how Ryback is. Ryback was a bully as well, right? So
that's what happens. The bullies. Classic.
That's
Ryback.
right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess I don't know. I mean, have you read?
So help me God if she wrestles Ember Moon at Takeover. I haven't read anything. BK asked me today. The last thing I want to do is watch Shayna Baszler, who has the facial expressions of a 1983 Jim Hellwig in a main card capacity against Ember Moon at Takeover. And so help me God if she wins the title. I was mad enough that she beat Candice LeRae in the Mae Young Classic. And now they're going to do this shit and they're going to push this girl.
Maybe we should move on from Shayna Baszler. Did you hear, by the way? You've heard that Candice LeRae was signed to a developmental contract?
I did, which is, it's a little sad to hear that the World's Cutest Tag Team will be disbanding. But good for her. I think she has everything it takes to be a huge star. And I think she would do fantastic in NXT. And she could maybe get in there with Shayna Baszler and show her how to throw a proper strike.
Did you hear about the match that was planned for the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes all-in show that now is not able to happen?
No, but is it going to make me mad?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they were apparently Matt Jackson. I don't know if he tweeted out or something that they were going to try to do the Young Bucks versus Candice and Joey one more time, but now they're not able to do that, I guess, because Candice signed the developmental deal. So
that is going to make me mad. That's brutal. That would have been if anybody has a chance to go watch the first one. I don't even know if it's on YouTube, but it's Candice and Joey versus the Young Bucks in a what do they call that? Not a fight without honor.
Guerrilla warfare
match. Thank you very much. Yeah. And it was one of the most brutal matches I can remember seeing. But, good for Candice. I hope she makes a ton of money. And I hope her and Johnny, they get to spend time on the road together and they have a happy and healthy marriage. Love them.
Was there anything else on NXT that stuck out to you that you wanted to comment on?
Oh, don't even get me started, pal. Okay. So, you had the opening match. It was a Shayna Baszler squash, which was fine. And the second match was Raul Mendoza versus Chris Hero. I love Chris Hero. There's no two ways about it. But, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to skip over this match. It was a good match. That's all I want to say. The main event was supposed to. I'm not even going to go there. The main event was supposed to be Red Dragon versus Sanity for the titles. That didn't happen. Red Dragon attacked Sanity, and it actually wound up being an impromptu match between Red Dragon and Roderick Strong and Aleister Black. I thought it was an awesome match for what it didn't really have a lot of time. It was more like an impromptu angle match than an actual match. But I think, you give these guys, I don't know, a week of build up in 15 minutes, you'll get a great match out of them. The issue I have is I don't know if it was Morrow or if it was Nigel. They're calling their finish total elimination. the fish hook with with Kyle O'Reilly's back. It's kind of like the Mortal Kombat kick when you press back and A, and Bobby Fischer's flying knee. That's like the third time they've called the total elimination. Somebody has to smarten these guys up. That's nowhere near total elimination. What is it with? They're just pulling things from every other organization, which maybe they can't, because what they're doing on their own isn't working. But for God's sake, and Morrow's calling. I like Mauro Ranallo, but every move under the sun is like a different Japanese name. And Ushi Gatami or Ushi Goroshi. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Well, he does like to do that. He references a lot of old school stuff or Japanese stuff. That seems to be his thing, and he's not, I guess, produced or the same way that he was when he was doing SmackDown. So he can get away with things like that. I don't know. After a while with these announcers, these guys, a lot of times I just end up tuning them out. So unless they really, really stand out and do something. So I think Morrow, I just kind of accept it. At least it's different than, the overproduced WWE announcer style that we get on the main roster all the time, because all the guys pretty much sound the same. and you can tell when they're directed to act or say things a certain way, and they really go over the top with it. So it just has that feel to it. So at least the NXT, it feels a little bit more natural. Whether it's everyone's cup of tea or not, I don't know. But
No, I agree with you on that. I think it definitely is better than the main show. I didn't know this, but did you know Percy is still on the commentary team?
Yeah, I think because he only speaks like 5 times a show. But
I had no idea. Yeah, he pops in and out. Pops in 2 or 3 times a match. And speaking of stereotypical, could Crime Time version 2.0 get any more like that? It's a little bit over the top with the Street Profits.
You're not a Street Profits guy?
I am a Street Profits guy, but that promo was like, it had Gaspar in a different attire. I mean, I think these guys are definitely better workers in the ring, but.
Did you and the Natural have a child since our last show? Is that?
No, but I have a 45-pound black lab douche with a squeaky toy who will not leave me alone as I'm trying to do the show. So I'm actually going to take it. I'm taking this show on the road, so I apologize for the little guy. But continue, we're good.
That's fine. Well, I don't know. Are you ready to jump over into the Dave Meltzer Wrestle Kingdom ratings?
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay, so why don't we do it this way? We started off the show with you asking me some questions from 1992 WCW. So I have the star ratings for 8 matches, starting with the Young Bucks versus Roppongi 3K opener, all the way through to Okada versus Naito. Okay. So why don't you do you want to take a guess as to what Meltzer rated it, and then I will tell you what the rating is and see how close we can get?
Absolutely. I think this is going to be a great game because I know how much of a mark Meltzer is.
All right. So the first match, of course, was the Young Bucks versus Roppongi 3K for the junior heavyweight tag titles. What do you think Meltzer gave that one?
Okay, so now disclaimer, these are not my star rankings. This is me guessing what Meltzer gave them.
Correct.
Roppongi 3K, Young Bucks, 4 stars.
That's exactly correct. He gave it 4 stars even.
Okay, sweet.
Next match is we have Cody Rhodes versus Ibushi.
4 stars.
4.25. He gave Cody versus Ibushi.
Okay, are we giving our commentary on each, like his opinions on each match, or do you want to wait till the end?
However you want, man. If you got feelings, if you got thoughts in the moment, throw them out here. I've seen these before, so I've already had my reactions to them. So if you have some comments, feel free to make them.
Yeah, the Young Bucks match was a hot opener, but 4 stars it wasn't. And I have no issue with Ibushi and Cody getting 4.25. I think that was his best match yet.
Okay. So then we have the tag title match, the heavyweight tag title match.
I really don't know. I really like this match. I don't know what he would do. I'm going to say 3.75.
He gave it 4 even.
Okay. No issues there.
Then we've got Goto versus Suzuki.
He's a huge mark for these guys. I'm going to say 4.5.
That's right. On the nose. 4.5 stars.
Yes.
All right, 4.5 stars. All right. Now we have the 4-way for the junior heavyweight championship.
I was a big fan of this match. Meltzer's a huge mark. 4.5.
He went 4.75 on the 4-way.
That is ambitious. Okay, that's a little bit of an overrating for me, but yeah, I could see that. Okay.
All right. So now we're down to the final 3. So we got Tanahashi versus Switchblade Jay White.
Personally, after we talked about this, I thought it was a good to very good match. Nothing awe-inspiring. Knowing Meltzer, he's going to go 4 stars.
3.75.
All right, that's actually probably his most fair rating yet. So,
okay. Then we've got the Alpha versus Omega. So Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega.
It's Omega. It's got to be 24.5. No, I'm going to say 5 stars.
5 stars even, correct?
Yes.
And then he has Okada versus Naito, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship match.
5 stars.
He went 4.5 on that one. So
really,
yeah. So he liked if you're comparing it then to the rest of the show, it's got the same rating as Goto versus Suzuki, and it got a lower rating than Jericho Omega and the junior heavyweight title Fatal 4-Way. So that's where he had.
What do you think was a better match? Do you think Okada versus Naito, or do you think Omega versus Jericho was better?
I liked the Jericho Omega match better myself.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm not, there's no wrong answer to that. If somebody said they liked Okada versus Naito better, I wouldn't argue it. I think that's just a preference,
There were parts during the Omega match that felt a little bit long and a little bit drawn out. And I personally like the Okada match better. I'm shocked that he only gave the main event 4.5 stars. He went 5 stars for Omega versus Jericho, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I had 4 stars for the Bucks versus Roppongi 3K is overzealous, at best. That's a little much for me. I mean, we both did like that match a lot. Would you have won 4 stars?
Probably not. I probably would have went like 3.5 or 3 3/4 personally on that. I don't know that I would have given it 4, but I really did. I really liked it. I did like it a lot, what they did with it, but I probably would not have gone up to 4.
Maybe I got to rewatch it because I thought it was like a 3.5.
Yeah, I mean that's around 3.5, 3 3/4 is probably what I would have given it. I mean, my favorite matches on the card. I mean, I not in terms of how I would rate it, but just I don't know. But I mean, my favorite match is like the Jericho Omega match was really good, and I liked the Goto versus Suzuki match a lot. And then I would say I like the Fatal 4-Way, Okada Naito, and then Cody versus Ibushi, and then the Young Bucks, and then Tanahashi, like something like that. I guess
you missed the tag match, right?
Yeah, I didn't see the tag match. I don't know. Did you get to watch the Goto Suzuki match yet?
No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna watch.
Come on, bro. Come on, dude.
I'm a piece of shit.
You got to get in there, man. You got to get into the Suzuki. You got to get on that.
Are you like all in on Suzuki-gun now?
The Suzuki, this match, I liked it a lot. I liked the way that the story was told. I liked the stipulation. I liked the way that they the announcers called it, especially Don Callis.
I like the way.
But I don't want to give too much away. I want you to watch it. I want your reactions to be unique, natural. So I don't want to sway you one way or the other. I really just wish that you would watch it and enjoy it because I feel like it's going to be good for you.
All right. Well, I like the way Don Callis calls anything because I thought he was incredibly enjoyable the entire 12-hour show. That's first and foremost. Especially when Yujiro Takahashi comes out. I think every time I pop, he says something different. What did he say about One Night in Roppongi? He said something about the Don Callis experience. What did he say about take a ride in Don Callis train? He said something that popped me.
It's on air. I think it was on Air Callis or something like that.
That's what it was. Yeah, he is tremendous. It's just him and Kevin Kelly is just like him and Joey Styles to me. It was a tremendous commentary team. I will watch Suzuki versus Goto this weekend. That's my promise.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna ask you next week and see what I want to get your reactions to it. So I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right. We will do that. I mean, we have a lot of stuff coming up too. Winding down here on the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. We have a lot of stuff coming up. We're gonna have our Royal Rumble prediction show. We're gonna have our NXT prediction show, and we are gonna have a special guest to the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. I'm talking about a gentleman by the name of your hero, Mike Magnum. Mike Magnum is a former WWE NXT talent. He spent time in both organizations. He worked a little bit down in Florida with Impact Wrestling. He's a Northeast guy. He's got a wealth of experience under his belt, and he is starting a wrestling organization up here on Long Island called Full Faith Wrestling. He's got a wealth of talent. He's trained with everybody in the business, who's who. And not only that, Mike has some of the best stories I have ever heard from anybody in the business. He's a friend of mine. He's a friend of the All Night Long Wrestling Podcast. Joe, I want you to imagine you're at a tryout match. I'm not going to give away any of his stories, but you're at a tryout match for WWE. It's a dark match where the crowd's there. It's a match before that where really just the agents and everybody are there watching the match, and you hit a AA spine buster and look up and you don't even realize Arn Anderson is standing at ringside. The pressure is on in that situation.
Yeah, especially when you have a guy like him or those guys just watching you, and there's really no fans or crowd reaction to help gauge how well you're doing. It's really just those guys' impressions of you and probably nitpicking and watching very closely every move that you make and your facial expressions and all that type of stuff. So it's I'm sure that's a very nerve-wracking experience.
I mean, I've had some nerve-wracking experiences in my life. I don't know, wrestling in front of guys like Ric Flair, Triple H, Arn Anderson, and hitting Arn Anderson's signature move in front of. You got to have a set of cojones on you for that, my friend. But Mike's going to be coming up in the weeks, and I want you guys to check him out on. He's on Instagram at Full Faith Wrestling 1, on Twitter and on Facebook in the same name. So be on the lookout for that organization. He's doing a lot of cool stuff in the Northeast, a lot of positive, putting wrestling in a more positive light. And it's going to be, I think, I'm not going to give away any names that are tentatively scheduled to be on the show, but I'm just going to say he's going to come out of the gate firing. So that's something I think we're really looking forward to in the All Night Long Wrestling podcast. And we're looking forward to being a part of that with him. So it's for all of us.
Absolutely. So I guess we should let everybody know where they can find us on
I live
the
over at
interwebs.
5 Hawth. Oh, no, you don't. Okay.
Whoa, that's nope.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. So you can find us in a couple places right now. I'm going to pull up, I'm going to repost this because we have a lot of, you can find us in a lot of spots. I mean, we're on Facebook at facebook.com/allnightlongwp. We're on Twitter and on Instagram at allnightlongwp. We are on Spreaker at spreaker.com/show/ANLWP. You can email us at allnightlongwp@yahoo.com. Pretty much if it's All Night Long WP anywhere, you can find us. Damage 365 Radio Network. We'd like to thank them for having us on the show again. Who have I missed, man? My run sheet is like it's like 15 lines long here.
I think you got it all, man. I mean, the Damage 365 Radio Network, big fan of those guys for allowing us to have our show on there. They got us hooked up with iHeartRadio as well. We are back on iTunes, as you mentioned, so we got that all squared away. So you can find us on the iTunes podcast app, and like you said, you got the All Night Long WP, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel. Just subscribe anywhere and everywhere, and you'll get us one way or the other.
I'm not asking for a lot out of you guys. I'm really not. All I would love if you do is subscribe to the show, subscribe to it, comment, like us. The more you do that, the more people we could reach, and we appreciate it. We appreciate the hard work you guys put in listening to us. It can't be easy because I suck.
Now you're just being ridiculous.
It's tough, but no, we appreciate all the support. We'll be back next week. We might have Mike on next week. It might be the week after. I can't promise anything. It'll be coming up soon, and we'll have tons of stories for you guys. And he's got some stories that might create some waves. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna give anything away, but definitely stay tuned. That's gonna be a show that you don't want to miss. So for these two guys, for the Stallion, for the Enforcer, it's another episode of the All Night Long Wrestling podcast, and we're tapping out.
Some guys do nothing but complain.